Alright, after an entire week, I'm back. So we're going to read a book, and I'm also planning for a ton of videos coming up soon. So stay tuned for that. So now we're going to read Captain Underpants and the Sensational Saga of Sir Stinks-a-Lot, the 12th epic novel by Dave Pilkey. For Ellie Berger. Well, here we go again, in big trouble as usual. We've had so much bad luck lately, we had to make this comic so we could keep it all straight. Behold our graphic tale of misery and woe. Captain Underpants, the 100% true truth. Once upon a time, there was two cool kids named George and Harold. They were smart and handsome and stuff. Thank you, yes, we know. Me too. But then they had the meanest principal ever, name of Mr. Krupp. Blah, blah, blah. One time Mr. Krupp was being mean. You will be my slaves and stuff. So they hypnotized him. Not today, bub. Mr. Krupp was under George's and Harold's spell. You are now Captain Underpants. Okay. It was funny at first. Ha 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 ha. Look at me. But it got really dangerous really quick. Tra-la-la. Then one day, Mr. Krupp drank some alien superpower juice. And he got real superpowers. Now, whenever Mr. Krupp hears somebody snap their fingers, snap, he turns into Captain Underpants. Tra-la-la. And whenever Captain Underpants gets water on his head, he turns back into Mr. Krupp. Blah, blah, blah. So we got that to deal with. But it gets worse. One day, George and Harold had a really big problem. I got you now. So they borrowed a time machine, and they went back in time to fix the problem. Hooray, we're smart. But they create a totally new problem. Oh no, we made doubles of ourselves. When their teacher saw the two Heralds, they all went crazy. We must be dreaming. Let's get naked. Yee-haw. Oh no, whoopee. My eyes, they burn. So they all had to go to the mental hospital. The only good thing that happened is that we got 3 new pets. They are half bionic hamsters and half pterodactyls. Orlando, Tony, Dawn. It's been a few weeks since our last adventure, and the city has been rebuilt, and things are getting back to normal. But there are still a lot of loose ends to our story. That can only mean one thing. Another sequel. Oh no, here we go again. Chapter 1. George and Harold. This is George Beard and George Beard and Harold Hutchins and Harold Hutchins. George and George are the kids on the left with the ties and flat tops. Harold and Harold are the ones on the right with the t-shirts and the bad haircuts. Remember that now. Chapter 2. The Guarantee. If you have read our last adventure, you're probably well aware of how George and Harold accidentally created duplicate versions of themselves. You know all the whys, the whens, and were foes. Forest. So you're all caught up and ready to go. Congratulations, good for you. Reading is power, ain't it? If you didn't read our last adventure, you're probably scratching your head and saying to yourself, hey, what the heck is going on here? Before we can all get into that, I should point out that it's impolite to use the word heck. These books have been criticized for the inappropriate language, and we're going to put a stop to that sort of thing once and for all. From now on, you won't be reading any more words like heck or tinkle or fart or pee-pee. No, sir. Those words are highly offensive to grouchy old people who have way too much time on their hands. We demand representation and hard candies. In the interest of pleasing all the grouchy old people out there, I've also included topics especially for them. So this adventure will contain references to healthcare, gardening, Bob Evans restaurants, hard candies, Fox News, and gentle yet effective laxatives. So sit back on your hemorrhoid pillows, turn up some music, Lawrence Welk, and grab a snack. Black jelly beans are all stuck together. It's time to enjoy the all-new, squeaky clean, fully appropriate, and non-offensive adventures of Captain Underpants. So Chapter 3. The Species Who Knew Too Much. We all know that it's good to be smart. It's even better to be very smart. But being too smart is asking for trouble. Think human beings, for example. We were smart enough to invent gardening and healthcare, and we developed Bob Evans restaurants and Fox News. And we've managed to get hard candies and gentle yet as effective laxatives to excite new horizons. But somewhere along the way, we got too smart for our own good. We started inventing dumb things like car alarms, leaf blowers, and spray on hair. Verse. You think that dumb things would have been good enough for us, but no. Our big, ridiculous brains weren't weren't satisfied. We had to take things to one step further. So we began creating incredibly dangerous things like atomic bombs and nuclear warheads, and we built enough of them to wipe out everybody on the planet. Then, like the smart pantsers we are, we handed the launch codes over to politicians. Only human beings are smart enough to be that dumb. The button. We're smart. It turns out the brains are a lot like beans. They're both good, but you really don't want to overdo it with either one. You see, too much of a good thing usually ends up being a very bad thing. One way or another, you're probably going to end up in a big, sticky mess. The story you are about to read is the unfortunate tale of how a smartest brain on the planet created the biggest, stinkiest mess the world had ever seen. But before I can tell you that story, I have to tell you this story. Chapter 4, Smart Earth. As any scientist will tell you, we exist in an ever-expanding multiverse with an infinite numbers of stars and planets. One of the planets, which orbits around the center star in Orion's belt, is called Smart Earth. Smart Earth is almost identical to our Earth, except everybody who lives on Smart Earth is a genius. The reason everybody on Smart Earth is so smart is that the entire planet is made of an element called Zygogogozizzle-24. Zygogogozizzle-24 is a slightly radioactive substance that can be bound with organic matter, morph into complex organisms, and be mixed with mayonnaise and dill pickle relish to create both a tasty salad dressing and a clean burning fuel source with enough power to light up the entire city. One of the remarkable side effects of being too close in close proximity to Zygogogozizzle-24 is that it makes people much, much smarter than they normally would be. Even though Smart Earth is inhabited by geniuses, it still has a lot of similarities to our Earth. They've got McDonald's, though it's called Smart McDonald's. They have smartphones, which are called Smart Smartphones. And they've got the Huffington Post, which is called the Huffington Post. One day, a smart scientist at Smart Harvard University decided to do an experiment. It was the smartest, most intelligent experiment that anyone on Smart Earth had ever conducted. It was so incredibly smart, in fact, that it ended up being totally dumb. That afternoon in her laboratory, smart scientist mixed smart Diet Coke with smart Pop Rocks. Then she added the third ingredient to this highly volatile concoction, Smart Mentos, and this is what happened. Jimbalush! Chapter 5, Lego My Zygogogozizzle-24. Explosion that followed sent chunks of Zygogogozizzle-24 whizzing off in different directions throughout the galaxy and beyond. One piece of Zygogogozizzle landed in a pond of a nearby planet Babpun, causing all the pond water to turn smart pond water. Plip! Soon the fish in the pond became so intelligent, they started swimming in schools. Wham! Another piece of Zygogogozizzle-24 ended up landing in a grape vineyard on planet Pineapple. The Zygogogozizzle-24 was quickly absorbed into the soil and was subsequently soaked up into the grapes. These grapes, which had until recently been harvested almost to extinction, suddenly became self-aware and super intelligent. They banded together in bunches and rose up to defeat their oppressors. The rise of the planet of the grapes. The battle lasted one whole night, but sadly it ended up in the next morning when the sun came up. The rebellion shriveled when the poor grapes ran out of juice. Apparently there's a reason for everything. Perhaps the most devastating result of the destruction of Smart Earth, however, occurred when a tiny piece of Zygogogozizzle-24 entered our own planet's atmosphere. It soared down through the sky at a terrific speed, zooming closer and closer to the small midwestern town of Pica, Ohio. Finally, the tiny chunk of Zygogogozizzle-24 crashed through the roof of Pica Valley, home of the Reality Challenge. It landed in a group of Terraby Ward, where all of the teachers of a nearby elementary school had recently been transferred. Crash! "What's that?" cried Mr. Krupp. "Looks like a meteorite," said Miss Ribble. "Don't touch it," warned the doctor. "It might be the blob." The doctor's warning was heeded by everyone except the gym teacher, Mr. Meaner. Gym teachers, as I'm sure you're all aware, are a lot like toddlers. You really have to keep an eye on them because they're always picking up things off the floor and putting them in their mouths. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened on that fateful day at the Pika Valley home for the reality challenge. Said Mr. Meaner as he happily chewed up the Zygo Go Go Zizzle. 24 and swallowed hard. "Tastes like chicken."